keep trying or call it quits. Great email today. Roll it. Alright guys, I had a great email from somebody, and the whole idea behind this video is basically when you're with somebody for a long time and you know things have been up and down, but eventually you know you're at that stage where you're breaking up, do you keep trying or do you call it quits? It's a great question because I think we all get stuck on that at one point in or two in our lives, I guess, or many times in our lives depending on where you're at. And the reality is we have to analyze the situation in a logical sense and not from a emotional side of things. And the emotions, when the emotions take over, we're really not thinking clearly, and we really got to analyze it. And at the same time, giving space and room to breathe could be what you need to get back into that zone you were before. There's several things that we have to look at, especially when you know you've been in a relationship for a long time and you know things haven't been that great. Is that time, you know, of you being there being wasted, or is that trying gonna bring out the best of you and try to get back to what you were? And the reality is when people are together for a long time, they're either gonna grow together even more or grow apart. And if it's for a long period of time, it's just the growing for an individual person may have changed, and you can't really fix that. And you can't really adjust things, but what you can do is start looking at putting a timeline together of what you need to do, set up a objective with it, like just scope of the whole thing, but an objective, and say I'm gonna do X amount of things, write them down, and then execute, and I'm gonna give it my last try. And if not, maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it's time to, you know, just say, hey, after that I did what I could, I'm happy with what I could do. It'll take the regret out, and then you'll know to move forward what you really need, because you'll look back at that list and you'll say, look at everything I did and I tried so hard. And the reality is that relationships shouldn't be that hard. Relationships should click. Now, that being said, hard work does go into every relationship. You can't just, you know, take it for granted and give up halfway through and expect for the relationship to keep going in the right direction. A lot of the times we stop doing the things that we were supposed to be doing and we never get around to doing them again. The other person's like, hey, what happened? But they're doing it on an emotional side, and they start thinking, you know, what's going on, i.e. if you were, you know, taking your significant other for dates on a weekly basis and you stop doing it, if you brought them flowers every week and you stopped doing it, if you cooked for them all the time, you stopped doing it, etc., etc., etc. So we need to look back and say, what did I do for that first bit that the relationship was amazing? What did I stop doing, and how do I start slowly implementing that back in for X amount of time? And if we can get back to where we were, that I'm happy with it, she's happy with it, or she's happy with it, or he's happy with it, and yeah, you get the point. Both sides have to be happy. Then at that stage, then we know to stay together. If not, maybe it's time, okay, to move on. But it all comes down to love the other person freely, or love them so they can feel free, because we're not giving enough space in this modern era with technology and social media. We don't usually give a lot of space to the other person. We're always text messaging and trying to get a hold of the person and trying to see what's up, and there's no room for alone time so the person can really reflect and go through their own situations in life, the situations in the relationship, etc., etc., to see exactly what they need and how to adjust to the changes that always occur in our lives. That's a big one, and the reality is that we need to give that free space. The quick email goes, what is the best way to forget about your ex? I am struggling through it all. She was the one that got away. We dated for over 8 years, and one day she just said, I am done. I still think she cares about me, but I'm not sure she's still in the process of moving out as we finish the settlement. Let me restart that. Restart. What is the best way to forget about your ex? I am struggling through it all. She was the one that got away. We dated for over 8 years, and one day she just said, I am done. I still think she cares about me, but I am not sure. She's still in the process of moving out as we finish the settlement. Should I be calling it quits? Should I keep trying? Well, you said it right there, and you know, a couple things popped out. She's the one that got away. Like, you're already calling her your ex. You guys clearly are in that process of moving out, and you know, it kind of sounds like you've already given up, like you've already moved on. Now, there's not a lot of information here, so I'm not 100% sure on it, but what I can tell you is if you want to give it one last try, then do it. But I would go through what I said at the beginning of this video and really structure your approach. Think back, what did you do to make things work for so long? At what point did the relationship start to go to this, you know, usual, casual, every day you knew set things were gonna occur, and you woke up and you went to bed and that was it? You know, when did the romance leave? And when you figure out that point, that's at that point where you're gonna say, all right, before that I did this, I'm gonna try inputting those things in there slowly. I'm not gonna, you know, get angry if it doesn't work. I'm just gonna give it one last shot. If you can do that, I think you'll feel more comfortable with yourself saying, you know what, we're done, we didn't work out, it's good, we had a great relationship, but it just time, we grew apart, and that's fine. If you just quit, it changes things. Now, you're talking about a settlement in there. Clearly, you guys were living together, and you're probably going through some legalities of moving out and et cetera, et cetera. I would clean that up. Give everything you need to do. What you'll see is if you give that space, you give that room, and you start moving forward in the right direction, like you guys have probably agreed on. If you're going through this settlement thing, you probably have agreed on how you're gonna move forward. Go forward with it, and don't expect anything from trying. Just try it to see if something does work, if the romance can come back. If it does, that's awesome. Then you treat it like you would treat a new relationship, and you keep doing those things that got her moving again in the right direction. If you don't see that, then it's healthy to say, hey, I tried, I did my best, it just wasn't meant to be, and maybe in the future something will happen, but I'm not going to count on it. I'm going to start dating new people. I'm going to get my life in check with all the things I've ever wanted to do. Look at this as a blessing, whether you go one way or the other. It seems like you're at that point where you've accepted everything. So trying won't hurt you, but not trying won't hurt you either. And that's the bottom line. So let me know if you have any more questions. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe.